Hello, I'm Colin Bradley. In this series of Draw It Easy, we're going to show you simple pictures that are ideal for the beginner or those just wanting to try out the pastel pencils for themselves. Hope you enjoy them. I'm going to show you how to do this beautiful cat's eye using just a few pastel pencils. Start off with the white. Now, take me a little while, so if I just show you the basic idea, and then I'll show you the rest of it in little bits, so don't use up too much video time. One thing that I will show you is just here, I want that to be darker. We've got a dark marking. Now, one of the things that I always impress people when they're following my pictures is to work in the direction of, in this case, the cat's fur or a dog's hair. And whatever you're doing, work in that direction so you get a very natural looking. You can see this already. I'm just using the white here. And you can see how it does look already like hair. Now we're going to lots of things to add to that. But let me just come back to this again. Now this is a marking. And when you've got a marking, you want to use a darker colour. Now I'm going to use this, which is 230. And start putting that in. And this is also going to be put into the fur. So let's do that as well. What we're doing is creeping up on that. And so on and so on. And I'll fill that in. And all this and around here. So let's get to this one. Now here I'm going to use a darker grey. This is 233 in Pastel. Now this time, a little more careful this time. We've already set the area up around it. Now just put the... Now we're going to use a darker colour on this in a minute, but let's just do that for the moment. Blow the dust away. Now see how good that looks. Well, it's going to look even better than that as we progress. Now I'm going to put the white in all around here, and again I will do this, show you a little bit. This is another dark marking here, and of course this is very dark. I'm going to leave the pupil, which is really the most interesting part of this, to a little bit later on. So that's what I'm going to be doing, okay? And again, remember, I'm going to be putting the other colour, which is 230 in favour. Now if you've got your own pencils, well then you just find an equivalent colour like that. Doesn't look much at the moment, but by golly, you're going to be amazed at when I finish it. So watch me as I do that. I'm going to put all the white in around here. This is another marking here, so you'll see me do that. Marking there, marking there. I'm not going to do that bit at the moment, but all of this area around here. So as I show you, I'll do little bits of this and you have snippets as we go along. Now that's filled most of that in. Now what I'm doing now is putting the 230, which is the lighter grey, and just started infiltrating the stronger, darker colours. This is going to be dark in here, but it's not as dark as that or that. So what we do is we put some of this in. This acts as a cushion really for those stronger colours I'm going to put on in a minute or two. Not there particularly, I'd leave that. I'm going to do the same as that. But here I want to bring this down as well. It's quite there's quite a strong depth between these two. This is going to be dark, that's going to be quite light. So it's not like these where you have an overspill of hair. Here it's quite sharp, and you'll see that in a minute. Now the other thing that we want to do is we want to put a light area in here. Let me show you what I mean. Slightly different now. And what we're doing is putting the little bit of light on the rim of the eye. Now you'll see that in a minute. Come to life once we put the darker colours on. Like that. And that comes down there, and there's also some in here as well. So let's put that in. Like that. Right, good. Now, again, I'm dying to get to that, but we'll just leave that for the time being, because I now want to use the dark grey. Now, this is 233, what I used there, remember. So here, we're going to stroke this in to the darker colour, and we could be putting a darker colour into here. And what we're going to do is to amalgamate the two. So instead of putting it as a sharp contrast, we infiltrate. Now, not only do we do it there, but we do it here too. And you'll start to see this come to life now. Working again in the direction of the fur. Now I'm going to go all around there doing exactly the same thing. So you can follow me as I show you little snippets as we go along. But that's the idea. So we've got that colour, and this colour all working together. And that's not a million miles from being finished, this bit. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that develops. Now we're coming to the area where I want to make that darker. Now the reason I've left it, you'll see in a moment, it's rather like that, but it mixes with the light as well. So let's put that in, and now this just a little more pressure now, still working in the same direction. We come back and forth, creating the shadow, if you like, or the dark marking on one side and then on the other. And that comes out to about there. Pastel pencils are great for this because it gives you, because you can blend colours into each other. And here I'm a little bit more fussy now about how we're going to present that. Yeah, now That's not bad at all. It's begging for a darker colour now, which is what we're going to be doing next. And the next colour is 181. So those are the three we've used so far in the order. Leave the blue, that's coming. 181. Now 181 is a dark colour, and you'll see the difference that makes. Now this will make an appreciable difference, and we still want it here and there. I'll just do this top part at the moment so you can understand what I'm doing. We've also got a lot of pastel on there, so we're actually putting it into that pastel. Now there's one area there I concentrated on, so let's just do that bit. Now I'm pressing quite hard now to establish it, and that comes in now. These light hairs are going to come right over there in a minute. I'm going to make the picture look fantastic at the end. You see the idea of that? Good, isn't it? Let's do another one. This one here I started off with. Start off with quite a solid colour, like that. And then bring it out. Now this here, we've got the white here. Now what we do there is we come back into it, and you get the feeling of the white coming over the top of it, but it isn't. But we can then enhance that like that. Got it? And I'm going to do that all the way down. But we want some parts of that needs to be solid, and here we come out like that, and here we give the impression that the white hairs are like that, and then we can bring them and marry them up with the rest of it. Now I'm going to do all of this in the same way. I shan't be doing this area yet. That I'm leaving to the last minute, and we're going to do the eye next, and then all of this will make such a difference. So watch as you see me do this. One thing I will mention to you, I did put a little emphasis of dark here, because in this particular cat has got some very interesting markings, and there's some here as well. So we can just use a little shading, really. Still working on the idea of the direction of fur. I keep going on about that, but really, folks, that is so important. Now, I've done more than I thought. You got the idea, and that will come down and then gradually diminish as we come down to there. Got it? But it's coming up, isn't it? Very well. If you wanted that a little darker, say in there, you just put just a little more pressure on it. Now, I could have used and bought a black in, which would work as well, but I just wanted to restrict the colours a little. But you'll get a very good idea from that. So I'm going to carry on with that. Now we come to the interesting bit, the actual eye itself. What I'm going to do is draw in the eye over the graphite line drawing I put in. We want to establish that quite quickly. Right, and the other thing we'll do is go around, again, same idea, just go around the edge. See, what we don't want now is the blue to stray. So this contains it. Turn it round as you do it. It's much easier because your hand, it's a natural angle for your hand. You try doing it up the other way and you can go wrong. There we are, that's great. So that's the eye. Now, inside the eye, we want the white. Now I want white, this time, no direction fur to worry about. We've got to make it quite solid like that. Once again, I'll do a little bit, and then I'll finish it off. It's all going to look like that when I finish it, okay? All the way around, and it doesn't really matter if you do touch the pupil or the dark area, but try not to, because it does affect the ultimate depth that we want to achieve here. Okay, so I'm going to go, and again, you might find it easier to turn it round. This is what I would do, and you can get a much better angle to work with, like that. Okay, I'm going to finish that off, and then we're going to start, and then we're going to use the grey on top of that, and then the blue on top of that. Now the grey. Now why I'm doing this is because the blue that goes on now will be cushioned by this grey. You could have put it on top of the white, but it would be a bit too bright. So by putting the grey on, conversely, you could have just used the grey and not the white, but then you don't get the brightness, which is what we're looking for really in this eye. Don't have to work quite so hard with this. Once you've laid the initial application of white in, I'm not going to come too far up here because we're going to be bringing these hairs back over the top. Good. So that's that. Now, the blue. This is 143 blue. It's a nice strong colour, but you've got to be really careful with this. We don't want that to be too strong. Now I'm going to do 1/2 of this and then leave that half. Well, I won't leave it. I shall do it, but you'll see it in little bits. So let me show you this first of all. Once again, I don't want to come... I've got to be careful here, because if I make this solid, it's going to affect the white that I'm going to be putting back on. So be mindful of that. And you'll notice whereas I'm using direction of fur here, I'm not here. I'm very conscious of the fact that what I want to do is make as solid a colour as I can get. But what you don't want to do now is press hard, because if you do, you could crush paper. Got the idea? Now that's coming on very well. There's some areas, like just here for instance, it's not quite so strong, so therefore it would look nice if you just leave that little bit of blue in it, but not too strong. Just leave the impression that there's some light there as well. There's one or two other areas like that. But could you put the white back in? Yes, you can. Let me show you that. If you wanted a bit more white there, you just put it in. Or just here, put it in. But if you don't make the blue too strong, it works really well. So I'm going to be doing all of that all around there but you'll see it in little bits. Here, this is not quite so strong, so let me just show you this little bit at the bottom. It's just really just a smidging. All of this will look great once we get all the dark colour around there as well. But that's how that looks, and then just here we've got a little bit more strength. Now, just before I leave you, that's what I'm looking for there. I want to darken that. What do I do here? I've only got these colours, haven't I? So what I'm going to use is a 181 now, up here. Again, this will go on top of the blue. 181 is a Payne's grey, therefore it will work really well with the blue. And this is going to make a difference. Once we get the hairs coming back over the top of that, that's going to look great. And you can graduate that so it doesn't come all the way down, just there. Got it? Anyway, you'll see that as I finish that off. What about that then? Well, let's start the ball rolling. To keep you in suspense, I'm going straight in with 181 here, because what we want is a really strong contrast. Like that. Now you can imagine what that's going to look like when we're finished. So watch me as I finish this off. Right, that's gone on very well. Now what I'm doing is just adding a little bit more blue, a bit more concentration of blue like I did up there, just on this edge. And down the bottom, a little bit of white. Put all these colours back in again. Pastel allows you to do that. And it also gives you a much smoother look, as you can see, by doing that. And let's come up here as well. I want to make it as interesting as you can, because it's a big eye. It's probably larger than actual life size here, but it gives us a really, really nice impression. That's good. And the other colour we can use is 230, which we used in here. Again, 230 is a very good blender. I use it a lot in my work. If I want to put a base colour in, colours go into it really well. You can see the difference it's making there. And all is not lost. If you want to put more blue in, you can. If you want to put more white in, you can, but actually I don't want to do too much more to that. That's looking good. Just around the bottom edge though, because we're going to have a very dark edge here, put a little bit of more white. That's going to make it look really attractive when I finish. Conversely, we're going to be using 181. I'm going to use it up there, as I showed you up there, but I'm also going to put it down here as well. Once again, it adds another little bit of interest. I don't want too much, I think probably that's enough. And then when we come up here, it becomes dark again. And here we can put pressure on. When I say put pressure on, don't put pressure on the point. Use it on the side. The danger is if you could crush the paper if you're not careful, so you don't want to do that. Now, if you wanted to blend that, which I think is a good idea to do, you can use the colour we've used before, or another colour you could use is 233. We haven't used, again, it acts the same way that the graded I was talking about. It gives you a blend. And we've got them here, we might as well use them. Yeah, that looks good. Right, that looks good. Now, I'm going to use the 181 now and finish what I started here. Now, the reason I don't put any colour underneath it, because I want to give a really strong colour. And as it's going on directly onto pastel paper, it's as strong as it's going to get. I'll turn that round in a minute, you're going to get quite surprised. That's fine. And now, both sides of that, I want that to be just a little less, a little more faded, should I say. There we are. Give it another. There we are, that's great. What I would normally do, I'd sharpen this up and just go down the edges. Actually, I can do that with the one I've got here. Good. It's good, isn't it? Now, what about all that? Well, now this is where we've got to be careful. If we use that like that, it's going to be too strong. So what we do here is use the 233. I do a little bit, and then I can continue with it. 233. Remember, we put white in there. Well, now the reason that's going to work well is because we can come either side of it, and we'll just leave that white in the middle. Now, I'll just do a little bit here, and then I can show you how it's going to work out. This is 181, so it's 233 and 181. And this is dark. This has got to be dark rim there, and that will go all the way around the animal, leaving that little bit of white there. Not a lot, just a bit. Like that. And that comes out, and then once you've done that, if you can, and I think it's a good idea, just to pull that out, not too far, like I've done there, so that you get the ridge. That looks good. I think too, I'm inclined to do what I did up there, just fade that into, just gives you that, just that little bit of extra detail, like that. I'm going all around there and round here in the same way. All right. Just down here, incidentally, this is a little thicker. Same idea as I was showing up there, but it's a little thicker. So once again, make it quite strong. And then interfere with those whites, but don't get rid of them. And here we've got, as I said, a stronger edge. Unlike this, this is stronger. So what you do here, make sure you're nice and strong, and just do what I showed you up there. Right, so that's to come. So I'll show you little bits of this as we go along. Well, we're almost there now. There's a little bit more work to do. Bringing this down once again, leaving some of the white. It's quite strong on this side of the dark area, but on this side it fills in more to the colours we've already done. And that's come up really well. Now we might just add a few more if you feel like it. There's always a lot more than you think. That's fine. I'll just finish that off. Subdue that white, although it's there, it's not in your face. Lovely. Now, what's next? Well, I'm going to bring some of this back in here. I'll do that in a tick, and this will come down like that. So add a little more of that. There's a little, add a little more strength to that too. Yeah, there we are. Now I'm going to sharpen that white up and bring all the hairs back over here. It won't just be the hairs, but we'll also be bringing some dark in there as well. Now we get to this stage where we can put the finishing touches to it. See what a difference that's going to make when I finish it. So it's that one is okay, that one's got to be really sharp. There we got a nice sharp white hair. Now this is how I would do this. You turn the picture so that you're getting the best angle you can. What we're doing is that. This action that I'm showing you is what I use for whiskers and particularly things like this. Turn it just a tiny bit more. Let's put the first one in. Now you've got to be brave here. You've got to put it in strong like that. Can't pussyfoot. Well, it's got to be like that. A few more. You can go right across those pupil. I don't want too many more. I think we'll stop there. A little thicker, and of course it comes back as well like that. Gosh, look at that. Doesn't that look good? And it's no reason why you can't continue with that. Put it in, put some more in once you get the idea. And that looks good, doesn't it? Let's just put the old one in here like that. I think just always adds. That's fine. And I think we'll also add a little depth as well, here and there. One there would be nice. But don't overdo it. You can, at this stage, you can go too far if you're not careful. But I think that looks great. Well, I hope you enjoyed that.